On this week's Wealth Track, Building Financial Security for Women, two award-winning financial advisors, Maura Griffin and Deborah Taylor, give us the essential building blocks to construct a plan to last a lifetime. Next on Consuelo Mack Wealth Track.
New York Life, along with Mainstay's family of mutual funds, offers investment and retirement solutions so you can help your clients keep good going.
Additional funding provided by Loomis Sales, investors seeking exceptional opportunities globally. Wintergreen, your home for global value. Rosalind P. Walter and the Fair Home Foundation. Hello and welcome to this special Wealth Track Women Edition. I'm Consuelo Mack. Since we launched Wealth Track in 2005, our goal has been to help our viewers build long-term financial security through disciplined, diversified investing with advice from some of the top professionals in the business. This week is no exception. We are interviewing two award-winning financial advisors who are devoted to helping their clients achieve financial security, with particular emphasis on their women clients. They are part of our Wealth Track Women feature on our website, wealthtrack.com. For the most part, we have been gender neutral on Wealth Track, figuring sound advice applies to everyone. But on the topic of financial planning, there are some distinct differences and facts pertaining specifically to women that we cannot ignore. Individual circumstances can vary, but these generalizations apply to most. Women live several years longer than men do. That means they have more longevity risk. Women are far more likely to be alone as they get older. Only 18% of women over 85 are married, whereas 58% of men are. Women spend nearly 3 times more than men do on long-term care. Yet women's retirement income is substantially less than men's, some $21,000 on average for women over 65 versus $37,000 for men. Yet there is what is called a perilous paradox for women. Despite their financial needs, many don't adequately plan for their financial future. They are too busy taking care of everyone else. And that is where this week's guests come in. They are here to help women build financial plans. Maura Griffin is the founder and CEO of Blue Spark Capital Advisors, a New York City-based fee-only firm providing investment advice, asset management, and financial planning for women, men, and their families. A certified financial planner, she was given the 2013 Women's Choice Award for Financial Advisors. Deborah Taylor is the principal of Taylor Financial Group, a full-service wealth management firm based in Franklin Lakes, New Jersey. She started her career as a lawyer and as a licensed certified public accountant and financial planner, as well as being a certified divorce financial analyst. She is also the recipient of the 2013 Women's Choice Award for Financial Advisors. I began the interview by asking them what is the first thing they want to know when a woman client walks into their office for the first time.
When a woman walks in my office, what I want to know is her story. I want to know why she's here. I want to know what brought her to my office. I want to know about her family. I want to know about her kids and her parents. Is she sandwiched? Is she taking care of people? Often, what brings people into my office is some kind of a life change. Either a single woman who's gotten an inheritance, or a woman who's divorced and is suddenly taking care of the finances by herself, and the same with widows. So I want to know all of that because all of that detail matters, the big picture, then we can dig into the details.
Debbie, what's the first thing you want to know about a woman client when she walks in the door?
The first thing I ask is, why are you here? So I want to find out why they're here, what triggered them coming to my office, and then the same thing that Maura says is I want to know what your story is. You know, what's going on in your life that has made you decide to make the big move of coming to see a financial advisor, because for many women that is a big move. And the other question I like to ask right up front is, what does money mean to you? Because you're going to get, I think, generally different answers from a woman than you might from a man. And the other thing is, what are your goals? What are your dreams? What are you hoping to accomplish?
Getting a story from a woman client Is that approach different than it would be for a man, for instance? Do you want to know the whole picture when a guy comes into your office?
It's a bit of a different conversation when a man or a couple comes in.
Right.
I want to know all the same details, but the questions that a man asks, a man wants to know about the likelihood of market outperformance. A man wants to know about Sharpe ratios. A man wants to know about benchmarks. But a woman wants to talk about her goals and whether her assets can help her get there. And it's a much softer conversation. It's a much more emotional conversation.
And is that the case for you as well, Debbie?
My experience is exactly the same. I'm trying to have the woman open up and feel comfortable. So you do need to create a little bit of a softer environment where she feels comfortable having these discussions and exploring topics that she may never have felt comfortable exploring before. With the men, typically, you need to be more data driven. They're not so interested in their story being shared with you or that you play the role of financial therapist to them. They want to know about fees and data and alpha and beta and stocks generally.
Both of you deal with men and women and families. And also you each, one of the reasons you're here is you've won awards for actually helping women specifically. So the conversation then is different. So what are the questions you wish women would ask more often?
I wish they would ask more questions in general. One big question that I don't get asked a lot, but I think should be a question, is what is your value? What do you as a financial advisor bring to the table? And it's obviously smart wealth management, but it's also having a second opinion, to have a trusted confidant, a fiduciary confidant, who can help you through all of the decisions that you will be facing really for the rest of your life.
Right. So what's the question that you wish that women would ask you?
The question that should be on everyone's mind is, how do I achieve financial security? That's really the goal at the end of the day.
Do men ask that question?
Generally not.
Generally not. But so the financial security, because we've looked at a lot of surveys and you know all of the stats as well. Financial security is huge for a woman.
Well, it's supposed to be huge for everybody.
Right.
That's the end game.
But how prevalent is the bag lady syndrome, for instance?
Absolutely. 201, every woman client I have has, whether it's $10 million or whether it's $500,000, they are all afraid and they all mention the bag lady.
And why is that? Why are we so insecure about where we're going to end up?
It's an interesting question because I will say I have never talked to a man who says, I'm afraid of being homeless. No matter what their financials, it can be very precarious, but they never worry, they never express the fear of being homeless or the bag lady syndrome.
Explain this, Debbie. Why is this an issue for women and it's not for men?
I think culturally, from the time women are little girls, there are messages sent out that women or girls are not good at math, we're not supposed to be capable in that area, finance, math, numbers, and that message is sent from society from a very young age. We see the statistics where the girls will start off very strong in math, and by middle school they start dropping out of the more advanced math classes, and by the time then they get to be middle-aged, particularly if they choose to work within the home, they're becoming, in certain respects, disenfranchised from the family finances and from that empowerment that they need. So particularly then if there is a divorce or a death where then overnight they are thrust into this leadership role in handling finances, it is overwhelming and they've had literally no experience in dealing with this. And with lack of experience and lack of education comes fear.
We've talked a lot on Wealth Track about longevity risk, which is something that you talk about and you're very aware of with your clients as well. Longevity risk, how does that conversation happen with your clients?
It's a question that we always bring up, and to know that when we're projecting out for inflation, for healthcare costs, for investment returns, we look at sometimes a 10 or 15 year period more than men.
10 or 15 years more than men, just to be on the safe side?
Just to be on the safe side. And so the longevity risk, I think, is something that even more than market volatility or some of the other issues for women.
How does that conversation happen with your women clients?
It happens in a very serious way. I had one client who is recently divorced, and she's in her late 40s, and she has $4 million. And I basically sat her down and created an entire roadmap saying, I need to plan for you to live until age 95, and at the rate you're going, you will run out of money. And she got absolutely panicked because I'm probably one of the first people in her life, at least recently, to tell her no to something. And she literally turned to me and she said, Debbie, you're scaring me. And I said, I am trying to scare you. And so we sat down and I basically showed her how her $4 million, which seems like a lot of money now, but with the way she was spending it, she would be running out of that money. And then she was listening, very receptive, and we created a very comfortable roadmap for her.
Women go through a whole bunch of transitions during life. We play a lot of different roles. How important is what role we are playing now and what role we might play later in life? If we're married, for instance, we're probably going to end up being widowed. If we have parents, we're going to probably end up being the caretaker for our parents at some point. How important are those roles in this kind of a conversation?
Very important in this kind of conversation. You know, the statistics say that 80% of men will die married, and 80% of women will die alone.
Wow.
So whether it's a couple or if it's a single woman, never married, divorced, widowed, all of these stages need a roadmap.
How do you plan for that with your women clients, Debbie?
So part of the planning is creating that financial plan or that roadmap, and it's absolutely critical, and then it drives a lot of the other decisions, such as the types of investments you have, because women typically will have more conservative investments than men, and even if they're in their 60s or 70s, they'll say, well, you know, I'm in my 60s or 70s, I should be conservative, and I'll say, you've got another 35 years, and I don't want you showing up here in 35 years without money. You cannot be at my doorstep. And they say, well, Debbie, I don't want to be at your doorstep either. I said, well, then we need to deal with that now. So part of it then is the roadmap is critical. Coming back and revisiting the roadmap at least annually to make sure that we're on course. And then a big thing also is long-term care insurance and dealing with the health insurance aspect, because that's becoming more and more of a big uncertainty and a variable with all of the changes. And so one of the things we typically recommend is long-term care insurance, but also budgeting for that as well, because we see that the woman is going to take care of the man who is going to be there to take care of her.
The long-term care insurance then is more important generally for a woman to have than it is for a man to have. Is that fair to say?
I think it's fair to say. I do. I would like to recommend it to both. But there are times where the men are not interested in it, and I understand, because I will sit there and say to the man, I know you're not interested in it because you know that she's going to take care of you, but what's going to happen to her when you're gone?
Another issue is for single mothers, and that again, that's a more prevalent trend now as well, is that suddenly as a single mother, there are other concerns that you have that you're not if you are a married mother. So what are those concerns?
I think some of the most important concerns for single mothers would be to make sure that your estate plan is in order. You want to make sure that if anything happens to you, especially with minor children,
yes,
that they are going to be taken care of. You need to establish guardianship. You need to make sure that you have enough life insurance that they will be able to thrive.
Debbie, I know that you deal with divorced women and you deal with widows as well. And there's this old maxim that you shouldn't do anything different the first year once you're widowed, for instance, or divorced. Don't do anything different. You know, don't sell the house. Don't, change jobs. Whatever. What's the first thing that we should do if we have a major lifestyle change like that?
So for a widow, I would say there's basically 3 stages, and there's articles and books on this. So the first stage is, like you're saying, is let's not make any major decisions right now, and let's just try to take care of ourselves. So there's a grieving process, and it's just sort of coming to terms with our new life. So early on, we basically just try to stabilize the situation. Let's probate the estate, let's make sure tax issues are dealt with, just stabilization. The second phase is then trying to put in the plan for our new life, basically. Coming to grips with what our new life looks like, what we need to do. And then really ideally, and this is to me the most exciting phase, is that third phase, which is to me that empowerment phase, where you've come to grips with your new life you are actually excited about some of the possibilities that you have. And then we start getting creative with helping families, helping community, the widow exploring hobbies that she never could explore before because maybe she was taking care of a sick husband or taking care of her family. And that phase is really exciting to me as a financial advisor, and I feel like that's where we get our best work done. So it's really very fulfilling work.
What are the biggest pitfalls that new widows face?
They really struggle with how to manage expectations with their adult children. They want to help them, but sometimes they need to say no, and that's a real struggle for them.
Is that a role that you have to play?
It is. I will sit with them, I will create the plan with them, I will make recommendations as to what they should and should not be doing, and at times I say, have Susie call me directly, and I will explain to Susie why you're not going to loan her $400,000 for a beach house.
Susie, the daughter.
Yes, right. Who is the adult daughter, by the way.
That's
right.
So you were nodding, Maura. Is a familiar theme for you as well?
It is. Becoming a widow happens sometimes overnight, but the process of widowhood and growing through that is a multi-year phase. Like the first year, right after it happens, this first stage is, it actually, the grief sometimes is so overpowering that it changes your brain chemistry. Your brain goes into sort of like the reptilian mode. And
so when you're paralyzed?
So you're paralyzed. It's very hard to make financial decisions because basically your higher cognitive functioning isn't working the way it usually does. And some of these women are having to make financial decisions for the first time. I have one client who, her husband died and she wanted to change everything immediately. She was in so much grief, she wanted to sell the house, she wanted to, move across the country to be with her children. And we needed to really talk about what the outcomes would be for all of those.
Another huge transition, obviously, is a divorce. What are the first steps that divorcees should take, and I'll also ask both of you what the biggest mistakes are that newly divorced people make.
So in my experience dealing with newly divorced women or women who are about to get divorced is we need to build the team. And what happens is the man generally has been working outside the home, and he has an attorney, he has a CPA, he has all of his people lined up. The woman, generally speaking, doesn't have the team in place, so she's several steps behind the man. Also, she's more emotionally connected. So what I find is once the divorce becomes an imminent possibility, it becomes a business transaction for the man. They basically compartmentalize, flip the tape, and they're like, okay, Joe, you're the attorney, let's deal with this. I got my CPA over here, let's get to work. The woman struggles with months and maybe even years of creating the team, and I'm not saying it has to become a business transaction, but in understanding that this is her new reality and she needs to protect herself. And the men generally are pretty good at protecting themselves. The women struggle with that.
Women need that kind of protection and that kind of team behind them as well in order to even just have parity in their divorce proceeding, right?
Right, so I had one client and the man was saying, well, let's go to mediation, but you don't need to bring an attorney, let's just go the two of us. Well, he's very sophisticated, he does the investments, he has the tax returns, she has no clue. She has no clue what their net worth is, where their money is. How can you say, let's go to mediation and not bring attorneys when she has no idea? And I told her, don't you dare go. Do not go without an attorney, and if you do go with an attorney, you should also consider bringing somebody like me. But at the very least, do not go without an attorney.
So more, as far as what are the biggest pitfalls that women face, newly divorced women or about to be divorced women?
I think one of the biggest pitfalls that divorcing or newly divorced women make is not properly budgeting, that they don't realize how expensive life is outside of the combined economic unit of the family, that there are two of everything, two households. Childcare costs, even babysitting costs go way up because you can't go out. You used to leave the kids with the husband when you went out, and now you've got to pay for care. Everything has to be taken into account.
The challenge with divorce is what I find is men might take a step or two back, but then within years, they're back on course because they're working outside the home, they have lucrative careers, often the women get the children, there's some nominal child support that's provided to them, but at the end of the day, all those additional expenses that are connected with raising children and running that household, they're falling primarily on her. And let's face it, it's almost impossible to anticipate what all those expenses are in today's world.
What about a woman who's going to get remarried? That's a whole other set of challenges. And obviously now prenups, everyone says you're nuts if you don't have a prenup. Is that correct as far as your women clients are concerned?
And this is a question that comes up often. So a woman, particularly who's been divorced before, and she's thinking about getting remarried, and some of my clients make significantly more than their potential husbands. So
that can happen in the second marriage. That's a danger for women who are doing well financially.
It is. And so it's part of my job to make sure we think about all the risks and how to plan for those risks.
Debbie, a woman about to be remarried, absolutely a necessity to have a prenup?
I believe so. Now, whether they get it or not is a different thing because it becomes very contentious. But I'd like to think that we've learned some lessons from the first go-round. And the second marriages can be very, very tricky. I have a number of couples that are on their second marriages, and often they have children from previous marriages, so that there's a lot of conflict as far as money, spending, inheritances, who the beneficiaries of the IRAs are. There's a tremendous amount of conflict. And so on the second marriages, I am very much a financial therapist because there is so much tension and conflict there. So what I would say that at the very least early on, we need to have thoughtful conversations and literally maybe have a therapist or a minister involved or somebody to help work through some of these issues. And for better or worse, a prenuptial agreement often helps you to hammer out those issues in advance, however uncomfortable that may be.
We always ask all of our guests, what is the one investment for a long-term diversified portfolio, or the one thing that we should do? What would your suggestion be, Maura?
So I think women need to be less cautious in their investments. And so a strategy is to have the first 3 to 5 years of their needs in completely safe investments. And then take a look at being riskier, going into more equities, because they're going to live a long time. So they need to take, even if they have perhaps a more risk-averse personality, that doesn't mean they have to put that on their whole portfolio. They're going to need to grow that money, but still be able to sleep at night, knowing that the market fluctuations are not going to impact the money that they need to live in the next several years.
That's good advice. Debbie, what's your one investment or one thing that we should all do?
So to piggyback on Maura's recommendations regarding the bucket approach,
Yes.
is what I would say is let's do an overlay of a financial plan with that. So let's have our bucket approach and let's understand then the type of spending we need to be doing and how long our assets are designed to support us and our other causes or things that are important to us.
And a bucket approach, you're talking about have cash or liquid investments to support you for 2 or 3 years, and then another bucket is the more longer term, more risky but growth assets.
That's right. That's right.
So Maura Griffin, so great to have you, and Debbie Taylor as well. Thank you both very much. Thank you for advising us and for advising your clients. They're very lucky indeed.
My pleasure.
Thank you. As we mentioned earlier, Griffin and Taylor are part of our Wealth Track Women series on our website. They and our other women advisors recently tackled the role of prenups in a financial plan. Their next focus is the process of helping new widows make the right decisions in a devastating period. We hope you will consider our Wealth Track Women series as a resource for all of the women in your life. One of the recommendations we just heard was to buy long-term care insurance. It's been an action point of ours several times over the year as well. But there is a new urgency to this recommendation, especially for women, because of some big changes occurring in what's being offered. So this week's action point is explore long-term care insurance sooner rather than later. According to insurance guru Kim Langford of Kiplinger's, the premiums for long-term care insurance policies for women are increasing rapidly. In most cases, they are much more expensive for women, in some cases more than 50% more costly. It can vary from state to state, but more carriers are raising prices, and charging more for women because women live longer and therefore tend to require more care. Langford's advice: get price quotes from several insurers, check out policies offered by your employer because they may still use unisex rates. Consider buying with your spouse because most insurers offer discounts of about 30% to couples, and consider getting shared benefits. Langford says if each spouse gets a 3-year shared benefit policy, they have 6 years of coverage between them, which they can split any way they want. For more of our conversation with Maura Griffin and Debbie Taylor, go to our website, wealthtrack.com, and please connect with us on social media as well. Have a great weekend and a wonderful 4th of July holiday on Friday, and make the week ahead a profitable and a productive one.
New York Life, along with Mainstay's family of mutual funds, offers investment and retirement solutions so you can help your clients keep good going.
Additional funding provided by Loomis Sales, investors seeking exceptional opportunities globally. Wintergreen, your home for global value. Rosalind P. Walter and the Fair Home Foundation.